That's Vuyo Mvoko, who attended those court proceedings, and he joins us live now from Bloemfontein studios. Good afternoon, Vuyo, and thank you for your time on the PM News Desk.
Afternoon, Kesh.
Look, it has been another dramatic day in court, and the fight goes on and on. What's the state of play regarding those tapes right now, Vuyo? Legally speaking, that is.
Well, the president's legal representative didn't have a nice or good day in office today. I mean, right from the start, you could see that Advocate Kemp was just really overwhelmed, whether it was because of the facts he had at his disposal or maybe things that he may have known that some of us didn't know. But he really didn't have much to offer. As a result, you could see, I mean, the judges were frustrated at times, and a little later on, they kind of turned that around, and it was a bit of an amusing scene at times. But bottom line is that he was forced to concede that he didn't have a basis on which to argue that the spy tapes should be kept away from the public. And that, in fact, is what's most likely, in fact, going to happen, because there's no basis. So the Democratic Alliance is, in fact, going to get to have access to those tapes. However, the question was whether other documents like memoranda, minutes of meeting of the NPA, that is, where this issue was discussed, whether those two fall within that category. In other words, can those or will those not sort of fall into the category of the spy tapes as well? And that's where then a decision was taken that the two parties, the president's lawyers and the DA's lawyers, should come together, appoint a senior counsel. Now, the job of that senior counsel is going to be to determine whether the minutes, the conversation, the memoranda of the NPA will, or to what extent they will in fact compromise the agreement that was reached, that confidentiality agreement. And if that senior counsel believes that having a look at memoranda and at minutes will not compromise what the presentation that the president made to the NPA, on the basis of which the NPA then decided not to prosecute, then the both parties will have to abide by that decision. However, if the parties do not agree, then the previous ruling of the court will then stand.
Vuyo, this appeal process, it has been going on for quite a long time now, widely perceived to be, well, a concerted effort to prevent those tapes from actually entering the public domain. How justified a perception is this? Some seeing this just as a delaying tactic to prevent this crucial information from the public eye.
Well, I mean, the DA has been trying to get these tapes for 5 years now. The lawyers for, I mean, the president has stopped at nothing to try and prevent that from happening. But remember, the way he has been doing it, it's not been illegal, because it's all been there. Remember, the NPA set with the president, submissions were made on the basis of which Mokote Dimje, the former head of the National Directorate of Public Prosecutions, decided not to prosecute. Perhaps an important factor here is this. The top brass of the NPA, when they looked at all the information they had, when they consulted widely with senior advocates, reached the conclusion that irrespective of a finding that Leonard McCarthy and other people may have conspired to prevent Jacob Zuma from assuming the highest political office in the land. Irrespective of that finding, they felt that the case should be looked at with its own merits. In other words, if there is a case to answer for Jacob Zuma, that is what the NPA should be looking into, instead of being swayed more by the fact that Leonard McCarthy and them may have done some wrong or may have conspired to prevent Jacob Zuma from assuming that office. But Mokode Dimje went against the recommendation of his own team. And it's not the first time, by the way, that the NPA had done something like that. If you remember, back in the day when Bulelani Ngcuka was again advised by his own top brass to actually go ahead and prosecute Jacob Zuma, he decided against it.
Thank you,
because he
Vuyo.
felt
Thank you,
that the case
Vuyo.
would
We'll have
not
to
be
leave it
winnable,
there.
and hence the reputation of the NPA is at stake as it is today, and it's not something that started with this particular case.
Thank you, Vuyo. We'll have to leave it there. We are out of time. That was our contributing political editor, Vuyo Mvoko, bringing us the latest on the court battle to obtain the so-called spy tapes.